everybody. Welcome to The Banished Zone, the show about flesh and blood that is in the demonastery.
I don't know where you're going with that one.
It is. We are firmly in the demonastery. We are reaping the shadow blades. We are...
There's a bounding demagon just out of frame.
Dreading
He's reaping
the
as
sights.
well. Yeah.
We are screaming. It's a show about flesh and blood with screaming. Hi, I'm Bryn.
And this is Chris.
And that's Chris. And today, what I have in my hand is a card.
Whoa.
And
a spoiler card?
we have an announcement.
What is that?
The Banished Zone, Bryn and Chris, has received a spoiler card for Dusk Till Dawn. And we are freaking out.
Yeah. We've received a little communique from the demonastery.
This card is not that card. It's representing
okay.
the spoiler card that we will get.
Yeah. We'll Photoshop it in later if we find out what it is.
No. We can't Photoshop the spoiler card.
Okay.
It's coming out on July 2nd.
So watch
We're
this
gonna get
space.
this right out of the way. We have a spoiler card. It's coming out on July 2nd, along with a bunch of other people who have spooky, shadowy cards, such as our friend Tommy, such as
Tommy
our
Fresh has
friend
something shadowy.
Ethan,
Man
Fresh
Sand.
and Buds.
Hey, who else? It's all here on.
It's all here on the spoiler schedule. You can look at it. On our day, it's Fresh and Buds. It's A Pound of Flesh. It's us. It's Team Covenant. It's like we're among.
It's a real
the greats.
Murderer's Row.
It's a murder. Yeah, we got the Fab Cube Tyler. We got Gorgtome. We got M&R.
Just Michael.
Carolina.
Michael and Roger are so cool. They each get their own spoiler.
Okay.
Which we'll reach that level soon enough.
One day.
Yeah. If one of us wins the world championship.
Sin,
maybe.
push the point. Breezy. I don't know who Codatano is, but congratulations to Codatano. Maybe I need to follow this person.
We should. Yeah, this is the only...
Oh, I think they speak in Spanish. That's probably why I don't subscribe. But hey, if
cool.
you speak Spanish, you like Flesh and Blood, check out Codatano.
Sounds awesome.
Anyway, we've got the spoiler card. We haven't seen it. I just know that we're getting one.
Yeah.
And that's very exciting.
It's coming in the mail, post haste. It's coming in the digital emails.
It's coming in the digital emails. And that is very cool.
Very exciting.
We're very excited.
Yeah, thank you so much to LSS for making this possible.
Thanks, Alex.
Alex seems responsible partially, yeah.
And thank you, listener.
Yeah. You, right out there in Radio Land.
Stop.
It's fun. I'm not going to touch it. Unless. No, I won't.
Thank you very much because, we have been very casually doing this for fun because we love the game. We love talking about it. And, sure, I hoped that my obsession with the dark and the evil would lead to something like this, especially for Dusk Till Dawn, but I wasn't going to expect anything.
Sure.
So,
yeah, that is probably part of it, that we're called the Banished Zone and we're in the zone when we record.
Dude, we're in the zone.
Yeah. Next set, maybe we won't get anything because it's not anything as relevant to our channel.
That's
fine.
I mean, I talked to Alex, Alex was saying he wanted to theme it up, you know, he wants to if P-Tac in the Savage Lands or whatever, they go to the Savage Lands, true. People who are famous for that. I probably won't get a Brute card, even though I love Brute, but that'd be
awesome if Alex got a spoiler. He should.
Well, he doesn't have a channel or anything.
I guess, but he should participate in a spoiler if it's a new card especially if it works with his combo deck.
He has a lot of followers on his regular. Anyway, not the point.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching the show and making it a show that people have heard of and like, because, that's very important to this whole process. So we're really excited. As you can imagine, I went to see the band The Cure because I'm goth. And also people are really excited about this Cure tour. Apparently it's been a huge deal.
It's their first tour in a long time, right?
It is been a long time, but I just feel like everyone's talking about it. The people are writing unexpectedly. The Cure tour is the tour of the summer or whatever.
Huh.
So
I guess they are pretty old, right? Are people surprised that they're actually still killing it?
I don't really
at shows or something, or
they're not that old. I mean, he's 64 or whatever. But
sure, yeah.
The Rolling Stones are dead basically,
and they still play shows.
They're playing shows. So I went to see that, and then that night I got home or I was at a bar after with the people I went with and got the email. And they don't play Flesh and Blood. Actually, I had just taught one of them how to play it, but I was just like...
I've received an insane email, and you don't understand how cool it is.
You're not going to get this, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This makes me a legend in some circles. Let's just put it that way.
Just want you to know I am famous now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be coming. We wanted to get on here and talk about that we wanted to say that we got one, that you need to be watching The Space. Please subscribe, but I will be tweeting about it, obviously. We'll put it up. I haven't decided what time. Tommy's doing his at midnight, like midnight 40, which I think is a cool plan. It's dark. It's the nighttime.
It just pops out. Yeah.
I could do 1 a.m.
Oh, there's also a 4 a.m., but that's because he's in New Zealand, so who knows?
Exactly.
I don't even know what time that is. It's probably like the middle of the day over there.
Right. So do we do the daytime? Do we do midnight? Personally, I like midnight, but we'll see.
Midnight's fun. Maybe like 1 a.m., so we're a little after Tommy.
Maybe Tommy will want to do so. Anyway, we won't talk about that. We'll surprise you with it. But again, thank you so much for being here and watching everything. So we're in the middle of Dusk Till Dawn spoiler season, though.
That's true.
And things have been really cool. Updates on our lives in Flesh and Blood is that Chris is, I think we talked about this last time. Chris is qualified for nationals.
Yeah, I think last episode was right after I top 4'd and qualified.
Right, and I had one more chance, and I once again top 8'd and then ate shit.
It was a heartbreaker.
It was a heartbreaker. I lost to Fabry Phillip, who was not qualified and did get to go, and I was sort of on the fence if I even wanted to go. It's in Vegas. I didn't know if I wanted to spend the money on it.
It's a big trip. Yeah, it's not just somewhere on the East Coast.
Yeah. My cat is screaming for some reason.
We're not upstairs hanging out with her, I guess.
And so that was nice. He got to go, and he's going, and probably with you or like your, our crew or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's maybe staying in the same hotel. Yeah, also a couple of our teammates, Matt and David, they both played at that same RTN as you, and they didn't qualify, and so there was
didn't qualify.
There was no more RTNs, and so their last hope was to like somehow get in on XP, and they were in the like 250s or something. Like they were pretty far down the list, and we're just like, we're gonna go to every armory we can. We're gonna like ask as politely as possible if people want to scoop to us and give us extra XP,
which is not technically illegal.
No, you can ask anyone to concede any time. It's just up to them if they want to or not.
That's right.
So they grinded as hard as they could. They were doing like I think maybe an online armory that they managed to find. They played a bunch of armories, and then they actually managed to get in. I think the
they just missed it. They just didn't miss it.
Yeah, the qualifiers went down to like the top two. I forget exactly, 230 or 240 or something. Like it went like they weren't even like right on the edge. They managed to make it. Which was also funny because once that happened, I realized, because my plan for nationals was I was going to grind some XP and then play a few RTNs and then hopefully just qualify an XP if I didn't succeed at RTNs. And it turns out I was way overkill in terms of how much XP I had.
You were like top 40 in the country, right?
Yeah. I think during the qualifiers, I was like hovering around the 50s. And then I got down to like 60 when I didn't play the last RTN. I wasn't needing to play armories. But yeah, I was like very comfortably qualified on XP, which is cool to know that next time, if I don't win an RTN or the next time there's like a 90-day XP.
You say that, but you're just going to do it again anyway.
Well,
You're also going to play a bunch.
It's fun. It's fun to play a bunch. It was it was like unique circumstances because a lot of that came from playing like a calling and then a battle hardened 2 days in a row and doing like decently in the calling and pretty well in the battle hardened. And that's a lot of XP. But yeah, doing skirmishes and other like 6 XP events, it gets you a lot of XP really fast if you can do it at the right time.
Right. So currently I'm probably not going to nationals, but the more Chris plans it out, the more I am feeling the FOMO. So I might just snap.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to. Yes, I haven't even said anything to him about it. But
you're just feeling.
I'm
the vibe.
just saying if I have the free time and the money,
sure.
I might
sell some cards.
I might roll over there and play some UPF. That would be good.
Oh yeah, you can play in the calling or battle hardened. Or...
I'm trying to liquidate some of my other collections of other things. That would make it a little easier. But so far, I'm not planning to, especially if they announce Worlds. And here's the thing. I kind of have the same take about Worlds that I usually do. And I mean, and as I always say, maybe I'm a little privileged in that I don't have to it's not that hard for me to take time off of my job.
Sure.
I'm in a very interesting position where it's just if I want to go, I can go. But I feel like the amount of time people are saying that they need keeps growing. Because it is literally 6 months away.
Well, if it is in November, which we don't actually know. So that is part of it, that we don't know exactly when it is. What if it's in September or something?
And people are
October.
Already complaining that we don't know. And I'm just how long do you actually need?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you do need to give your work 6 months advance.
I think it depends. And it's definitely because some people are well, I'm planning on a trip in November, so I just hope that it doesn't, coincide with Worlds, which is kind of if you're planning other stuff, then
but
they can't plan around your life.
That's not LSS's fault.
Yeah.
That you want to go somewhere. But I mean, that's
people are saying it gets more expensive the closer it gets, even if it's 4 or 5 months away, I don't know.
That is the thing about having it around the holidays, though.
That's
people
true.
are going to be traveling. Traveling gets more expensive. If it's in November, that's fucking competing with Thanksgiving travel, the most traveled day of the year.
Oh yeah. At least in America. I guess the rest of the world doesn't really care about American Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but I'm sure it affects airlines no matter what because people are going all over.
Yeah.
So I just don't think they should have had it so close to the end of the year. If that's when they're having it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's weird because I guess they're trying to wrap up the year with it, where it's sort of the best of the year.
Sure, I get it. It's
vibe.
cool, but it's also...
Maybe, I hadn't really thought about that. Maybe they should just do it at a different time.
Just do it in October.
Or February or something. I don't know. Just a random... I don't know when the best time is, if holiday time is not good.
Well, I wonder how wintertime sales, does Christmas affect... how does it affect LSS? Do you sell more at Christmas because people are I'll treat myself, or I'll get it for my friend, or whatever.
Yeah, maybe
you get a bunch of boxes or whatever.
It's definitely a pretty low time for armories. Last year was the shitty Xmas present where there was no cold foil to win, so it was just try to win a mat.
And before that, it was Christmas baubles, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know in
cold foil Christmas baubles.
LSS, I think they're just all out of the office for a while in December.
Yeah, they take a long time off. I think we found out that New Zealand is you take a whole month off.
Yeah, it seems crazy.
It's into January, and they don't come back till January 15th or something.
Yeah, so it makes sense to be do Worlds, do a huge premiere event, and then take time off. But yeah, that's a good point. That if it was scheduled differently, maybe it could be easier for people to fit it in. I don't know. I think the thing that they fucked up with is saying...
I feel you start in February. Your first event of the year is February. Your second event of the year is June. Your third event of the year is October. Yeah, and then that's it.
October could make
sense. If you're because otherwise it's gonna get crazy like this. So if they're doing it in 3 chunks like that, but we don't know that's not the case. The only reason people are saying it's... I'm forgetting. The only reason people are saying it's not in October is because of some other announcement.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's some other event that's happening at the same time. There's some other event
in the what do they call it? Professional, the PO or something.
OP. Organized play. Yeah. Yeah, that is the fact that people are having to theorize.
People are guessing.
I think the biggest fuck up that they said before the Pro Tour Baltimore, they were at the Pro Tour we'll be revealing the location of Worlds, and then at the Pro Tour they were psych, we don't actually know yet. And then now it's been 8 weeks, and so I think some people were okay, surely next week they'll announce it. And it's fine to be excited and it's fine to tease it, but if you're saying you're going to announce it somewhere, you should already know it. And it's not it would have been any better if they just had said nothing and people were left wondering, but people are just in the dark.
I just feel they could... I just don't understand why they're not just being all right, it's going to be around this time.
Yeah, at least that. The time frame.
I know they don't want to go back on their word, and like that's what they've been saying. They're saying, I don't want to go back on our
word. They don't want to say it till it's cemented.
They don't want anybody, but I mean, they definitely don't want anybody buying tickets. But like, people are theorizing it's almost for sure that they feel that it's almost for sure that the place fell through. Like they were getting really close, and now they're having to start over.
They were about to sign a deal, and then it just fell through. Yeah, that's probably what happened, and it's a shame.
It's just weird from LSS that like they're so not transparent about this, because they're so transparent about literally everything else. Like, they're like, look, we shred the tunics. Look, we we're scrapping the translation and we're doing it over. Like
we misprinted and short printed surgical extraction. We're gonna redo it in Dusk Till Dawn. I forgot we're gonna get those. That's cool.
Surgical extraction will be in Dusk Till Dawn.
Still short printed.
And that's it just seems like one of those things that they should tell us about. That they would normally just be like, all right, look, it was gonna be here. Or we had a place that we had, and then now something catastrophic has happened. We're going to know in this many weeks. We're really sorry. And I don't think we would have as many people complaining, because everyone knows they're a little company that is getting huge attention.
It makes me wonder if...
It's just weird that people who have been fans and content creators are so vicious about this online. Like, they're just like...
I don't know if I would call them vicious. They're just like...
It feels real vicious to be like, well, you fucked me again, Alice.
I mean, I think...
like, come on.
I think some people are just trying to say...
It's hard.
They're just trying to say, like, if I don't know
they're
soon...
Pissed.
They're like, people like Hayden.
Tight.
Like Hayden are saying, like, if I don't know soon, I can't go. Which I think is reasonable to, like, state. Like, if you can't...
No, that's fine. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what you're saying about how they're transparent about everything else, it makes me wonder if... it's not up to them, and maybe there's some kind of like standard in this kind of like really big events organizing world.
Yeah, because Star
that, like,
City
if you
Games
have a deal, you don't just like talk about the negotiation, or you don't like maybe they wish they could be like, oh, we were supposed to do it at this event space, but now it got canceled. Maybe because it kind of makes the event company look bad, because it's possible that they just like gave it to someone else who outbid them, like offered more money. Maybe it's like a money thing, and they want, and like these whatever like event organizers, space rental, they want to keep that process like behind closed doors, and so LSS can't really talk about it. Maybe when you even enter these kind of negotiations, you have to sign NDAs to like not reveal it or something.
For sure, yeah.
I could see it something like that being the case, where like they would involve us more if they could, because they involve us in everything else.
Yeah, I bet that's how it is. So I mean, I feel bad for them. I understand, and I feel bad for everyone else who really is stressing about. They definitely stress about it. Like, they're just like airing out their stress online and just being like,
that's the thing. It's like people who really want to spend thousands of dollars to go to Worlds.
I'm dying to spend thousands of dollars on a plane ticket and hotel, and I mean, for me, I don't want to go to Vegas because my plan was to hopefully it's someplace in Europe I've never been, which is every other place except for Berlin.
Yeah.
They said it's in Europe.
Yeah.
And I would love to take a vacation there with Chris and, go for a week before and, maybe a couple days after or something and take my time. Because every time we've gone to an event, it's sort of a whirlwind trip.
Yeah.
Like, we have to get there the day before. You're tired. You're sleeping poorly. You're full of allergies.
Adrenaline.
You're like, both times I've had just like terrible like health issues. Like, my neck just like froze up at Vegas.
Oh yeah, and you had a bad like head cold or allergies or something at Baltimore.
I had like a sinus infection in Baltimore.
Yeah. Damn, I should probably get a nice mask to wear on the plane to Vegas. Be in a barometric chamber for a week or whatever. Hyper something.
Yeah, don't get a sinus infection.
Yeah.
Or any of the other many illnesses that are outside.
I'm already thinking about that for just like the whirlwind aspect of like, I'm going to get into Vegas on Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, hopefully Friday, Saturday, and Sunday play nationals. That would mean I made top 8. So maybe Friday and Saturday. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday playing the events and then go home. So like, I'm not planning on doing or seeing anything in Vegas other than like my hotel room and the convention center. And like maybe
you probably won't even leave the hotel unless you get a chance to go to Truth and Tonic.
Yeah, go for a walk and pick up food or something. But like, I mean, it's also going to be August in the desert, so
you don't want to leave.
Probably go walk on a treadmill in the gym if they have one or something. Not much outside activity.
A nice brisk walk in the 119 degree weather.
Yeah, my fucking
just cooking an egg on the sidewalk.
My Midwestern white ass will fry. It was not built for these kind of temperatures.
Yeah, I'm a little lizardy considering I'm from LA, but it's pretty bad in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should bring like a sun umbrella because I feel like that's the
you should wear one of those hats that has an umbrella on it.
Oh yeah, that too.
Or a bucket hat.
I should wear that at the event too to make to look cool and collected.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's I understand that it's tough for everybody, and I do feel bad. I'd like to go to Worlds.
It'd be awesome, yeah.
Especially if I don't go to Nationals. So I would like to also know when that's happening so I can decide.
Can you enter Nationals with a PTI? I'm actually not sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
You're the one who knows that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking, hypothetically, you could buy a PTI if you wanted to play a Nationals.
I don't need to play a Nationals. It's just to go to hang out.
You just want to go and hang out and play the calling and stuff.
But, oh well.
Yeah.
They'll tell us when they tell us, and I feel like 6 months is probably a reasonable amount of time.
Could be.
I guess if it's October, it's only 4 months, right?
Yeah, if it's November, it's 5 months. So that's the thing. We're getting into like
close.
It's getting tight.
It's getting tight.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see how many people go. Like a lot of people will definitely go.
Oh, people are gonna go.
They'll go. Yeah.
It's just sad when people who really want to go can't go because of the time.
Yeah, and it's also just like, I mean, it feels sort of silly to like think about this, but like the more accessible it is, the more it's like actually finding the world champion of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like,
but you know, like Brian said, like that's kind of always the case. Like,
yeah,
we're finding the world champion within a small slice of people who already play the game, with people who can afford to go, people who can afford to play enough to do it. So you're always kind of limited by how the world works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of a little company trying their best, LSS had a pretty crazy week the past week.
Oh yeah.
Premiering. I mean, we said it was a big deal when the Polygon article happened.
That was like right before Worlds last year, right?
Yeah.
It was about Dynasty and Worlds.
That's right. Yeah. So this was a big week where they premiered. Here, I'll bring it up. They premiered a card and a couple other cards. Oh, what happened? Here we go. A couple other cards on a website that you've heard of called IGN.
We got there.
We got their team.
Yeah.
And they did this card. It's called United We Stand. As many people have pointed out, it kind of sucks for basically anything that's not that any of the current formats that currently exist. But it's clearly a PvE or UPF card.
It's the most clear PvE card we have because it references having a party, which we did not know, other than like something about Yoji, I think.
Yoji like, talks about protecting your party.
His website, his like not lore website, like hero profile.
Yeah, his hero profile.
Yeah. So very cool. We still don't know when we get PvE. So
it's
been a very long
White
tease.
Said not this year.
Right.
So not this year.
Sure, we know that.
But we're getting cards.
Maybe we'll get like a preview for it for this year. That's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe a big preview. Maybe almost everything about it we'll find out this year.
That's some very hopeful wishing.
Hopeful thought, yeah.
Well, you know, I think it's interesting. So what I wanted to say is that IGN is one of the biggest gaming outlets in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of another, like, what do you call them? What do journalists call those things? Imprints.
Oh, an imprint. Okay.
I can't think of another imprint that is bigger.
It's been around, I mean, compared to the other like decent sized ones like Kotaku and Polygon, it's been around a lot longer.
It's been longer than that.
Yeah. You have magazines, I guess, like is EGM still a thing? No, that's long
and
gone.
That's also electronic gaming.
Right. There's Game Informer, which is like it's like a magazine and a website.
That is Game Informer is owned by
GameStop. Yeah.
And it's only video games.
Yeah.
IGN is historically everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe Wizard, but that's not as big, right?
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I can't even think of another one. Maxim, perhaps?
Maxim?
No, that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. That's a magazine, right? For men.
Yeah. IGN is a magazine, right?
IGN? I thought it was just a website.
Just a website?
I don't know.
It's been around for a long time.
Finally a magazine for men.
1996.
Yeah.
Probably
we have viewers born after that.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Probably have viewers born after 2000, considering you can be born after 2000 and 22.
22.
Yeah.
23.
23? Yeah. Well, shout out to you if you're 23.
Shout out to you if you're 23. Didn't even know about the 90s.
You weren't around.
You didn't even hear about them.
You don't know anything about that stuff. There's no way to look it up. There's no computer interface that could tell you about the 90s.
Yeah. Anyway, IGN is a huge deal, I think. That's really... It's interesting... I think it's interesting to have a thing that you're into become legitimized.
Yeah, I guess
in this way.
This is just like the biggest mainstream article about Flesh and Blood, like since it's come out, basically, right?
Well, what I think was interesting is that like Polygon article, the Polygon article was a big deal, but it also felt like a promo. Like it felt like a fluff piece about how... Like the article was about this little startup that could, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was like
it had a James White interview.
It had like a James White, like, here's the history of Flesh and Blood. We're introducing you to this game.
Sure. Yeah.
And like you probably it had the feeling of, I haven't like looked at it in a long time, but I had the feeling of like, you probably don't know about Flesh and Blood, but here's why you should.
Yeah.
And that's like a very different thing than IGN just being like, here's the new Flesh and Blood set. That we're announcing the thing that you already know.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't have the feeling of like... It didn't have that feeling of like, we're introducing our readers to it.
Yeah.
It had this thing of like, big news, guys. Flesh and Blood has a new set coming out. Here's a card from it.
Yeah.
We get to spoil a Flesh and Blood card. And that's a very different dynamic.
Yeah, because it feels like Flesh and Blood is reaching the point where like, certainly not everyone knows about it. It's still relatively niche, but like if you are someone who follows like the trading card industry and trading card game news, you've heard about it, which is a ton of people when you consider how many people play.
It's $1 billion industry.
It's a massive industry, and it's like almost all of that is centered around like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
But it is a huge industry, and there's a huge amount of people who are interested in these kind of games, and so like if it's reaching a point where anyone who like follows that industry has heard of it, then it's reaching an interesting point of saturation or of being more well known.
So my question there is like, what does that mean for the game? Like, is that good? I mean, like we kind of always, I mean, it's definitely good for the company. Like, I think that they're gonna be fine without, but like for the game, it feels like it's happening faster than I thought it would be. Like, my feeling was, it just feels like just yesterday, Professor released his video that was like, it only has 2 years left until it's 5 years old, and I believe in Flesh and Blood. And it kind of was not controversial, but like people were like, okay. It felt legitimizing then for a YouTuber to be like, this isn't a scam.
Yeah.
And it felt like then just a couple months later, you have IGN being like, the game that you know about, Flesh and Blood, new set, check it out, big news. And that's like pretty crazy. I think
they're putting out their 10th set too, which is a pretty big like milestone. I think it's like really not a spot that almost any TCG reaches, putting out 10 sets.
I don't think anyone has except for the big three, right?
I don't actually know. That's a good question.
Oh yeah,
there have to be other games that have put out 10 sets.
Is MetaZoo there?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Weiss Schwartz?
Yeah, I guess 10 sets is like harder than you. I mean, well, some games just put out a lot of sets, right? Like,
sure.
Doesn't like it. Like we have a local store that does Digimon TCG events, and it feels like every other month they're doing a new pre-release.
Digimon?
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of main titles. Are these all sets? What does this mean? Oh, these are
participating titles. No, the thing about Weiss Schwartz is that it's
all animes.
Different animes, like Goblin Slayer, which is one of the most fascist.
Oh, so it's like a game that's like
you've ever heard of.
Taking your action figures and being like, what if Goku could fight Light from Death Note?
And it's
All right.
Weiss, I think, is white and black. It's basically white and black.
Oh, right. White and black. Yeah.
Weiss Schwarz.
Weiss Schwarz. Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah.
Weiss Schwarz. It's just German.
It's German. Why is it German if it's a Japanese game?
They're fascist.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
That was a joke.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's a
German friends. I like Germany. It's a good place.
Yeah, they're cool.
But you got Steins Gate and Sword Art Online and like Ruby and Adventure Time apparently is going to...
Really? That's not an anime.
Sure it is.
Okay. It's an anime. I take it back.
It's as much as an anime as King of the Hill.
That's true.
And Cory in the House.
I want to see fucking... Well, Cory in the House isn't even animated.
Yeah, but it's one of the best animes of all time.
That is true. Cory, you a bussa.
Okay, so... This has been...
I mean, I think what you were saying, like, the thing about how big of a deal it is...
Poor Bolton, by the way.
Bolton really got the Mike Wazowski treatment. Or Hayden with the hand over his face on that from that classic photo that's immortalized
sleeves.
On sleeves. Yeah. Flesh and Blood is a game that, first and foremost, has hit a home run with competitive play. And I think everyone, even people who have, like, their doubts or detractions about it, like, admits that. You know, they're like, this is incredible organized play. It's an incredible competitive game. And then the places where you have, like, doubts or questions is, like, how well does it do at holding the attention of like, more casual players? And it is true that it's, like, it's a bit of a mountain to climb to, like, get into Flesh and Blood. It's, like, you build a deck, you go to an armory, even if it's just, like, a sort of casual blitz or draft armory, you will get your ass kicked because the game is so hard and you'll lose for a while and it's a real uphill battle to, like, get any good. And there's a lot of people who don't care about that as much. Like, they kind of just want to jam games with their friends. They like being able to, like, play collaboratively or cooperatively or just kind of, like, do something goofy. Like, I think that's one complaint I've heard about Flesh and Blood is, like, being able to build, like, weird janky decks is a little harder just because there's, like, less cards. So
yeah, but it's a new game.
It's a new game. But it's totally possible that the PvE mode will end up being the most popular mode of Flesh and Blood if it becomes, like, the best casual way to play the game. Right?
I can imagine well, it's not about being casual or not. It's just about fun.
Sure.
Like,
I
can imagine all of the people, you know, Dan and Mason and stuff. I think what they're careful and trying to do, we talked about this a little bit before, but I think that what PvE is trying to be is a system. Importantly, not a board game that you can play once, but
that's a good point. Yeah,
the way that D&D is a system and the way they've built their, like, you know, I think we've talked about, or other people have talked about, like, the genius of Flesh and Blood is that you can sort of take any archetype of fighter or character and think with your own brain now how would it work within the system of Flesh and Blood, because you kind of understand the flavor and how flavor works, where it's like you feel like you're doing the emotions, that you're doing the actions of these characters, and you have all of these tools to make it feel that way, the same way like a game controller makes you feel that way. More so, I'd say, because with a video game controller, you just have, like, a couple buttons, and then you have to represent that feeling on the screen, whether it be your character or, you know, like on the PS5 controller, you've got, like, a trigger that, like, has resistance or whatever, and then rumble and stuff. But, like, I feel like that's the level of...
There's something very tactile about playing Flesh and Blood, where it's like you're playing it with the cards physically. Like, I was thinking about this playing our friend David. I was playing Lexi against his Azalea because we were just trying to, like, practice whatever decks we can for nationals. And I was like, I think it's important to just, like, physically practice with the decks.
It's so
if you're playing, especially he was playing Azalea, so he was like,
paper.
I'm flipping, I'm opting, I'm putting on the bottom, I'm popping it in, I'm activating my bow.
There's like a practice to it,
and
like
Lexi has
an
a lot
instrument.
Lexi has a lot of that vibe too, which is like I've sort of like it's hard for me to think about because Lexi is like literally the deck I learned the game on. So Voltaire, flipping, New Horizon, it's all second nature. But I remember Michael Feng talked about that when he was like planning on playing Lexi at the Pro Tour, and he was like, I hadn't actually played it much in the Flesh and Blood, and he was like, I don't know how to do this. Like he just felt completely out of his depth in terms of like activating the abilities and stuff. And that's like a thing that can really make or break your tournament. And it's like it almost feels silly to like think about until you've like done this enough, which is like at a tournament you'll get tired, and if you're tired and it's not second nature how to do something, you'll fuck up. And you're not playing an armory, so if you make a simple mistake where you like flip a card too early with Lexi, or you activate the wrong thing first with Azalea, your opponent is unlikely. They could decide to let you take it back. You could ask a judge, and if you haven't advanced the game state, but like it becomes a situation where a judge could get involved just because you don't know how a card mechanic works, and it's very important.
I mean, if you're playing in the fucking Pro Tour or calling or something, people aren't gonna let you take that shit back.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
A judge probably won't either.
I want to win.
I want to win. Yeah, if you messed up and you beat yourself for me, great. That makes my day easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree that it's like
Well, we're talking about flavor.
The mechanical flavor of like being, people might love like, I want to be a light warrior and charge up my soul.
I'm saying as much as D&D is creatively expressive, Flesh and Blood has the potential to be that flavorful.
Yeah.
In terms of like, where are we going? Our team, what can our team do together? And like you can imagine, and this is why I feel like PvE is such a little hobby horse for people, because everyone can see the potential.
Totally.
Because you already know, just like the hitting and the the pitching, the charging, it feels like a fighting game, it feels like an RPG, it feels like Dark Souls, it feels like all of these things, and they've built that into the system. And then being able to do that with other people, like what is the DBZ fusion dance in Flesh and Blood PvE?
Yeah.
What is the Cannonball special in you know what that is?
No.
X-Men. Colossus throws
Wolverine
and like Wolverine
in like Marvel vs. Capcom, if you
no,
like,
just in the comics.
Team. Oh, okay.
That's a thing they do.
Yeah.
Colossus picks up Wolverine like in his hands and then tosses it, because Wolverine's a little guy.
He's small, yeah.
And then he throws him at a big guy and he slices them all up. He goes right through them. And that's like a famous move, and you can kind of imagine like what are double people moves.
Yeah,
in
totally.
The game.
Is there a way that like, especially when there's cards that like already have global effects, like Aether Wildfire?
Sure.
What if you have an Icelander whose plan is to like hold the boss back while setting up an Aether Wildfire for Kano, who then has his own Aether Wildfire, and just like the damage is multiplying like crazy? It's all kinds of fun combos you can imagine.
Yes.
That will work with stuff like that.
You can imagine these big sort of like, I mean, there's not many other movies. I'm not the hugest fan of all the Marvel movies, but like there's not many other movies that have like tons of heroes doing different things and synergizing, and like while I think it's really stupid that in Civil War they just have a big fight in an airport landing strip, it's still a cool fight in certain places, and you can kind of imagine how that would work.
It is cool to be like, okay, if you have Bravo and Dorinthia and Bolton and Briar on one team, and then you have like Chain and whoever else the bad guys are.
And that's how the game that the Marvel card game that my friend Mason likes kind of works. It has a very similar thing, but the decks are, you can only be that deck.
It's just a pre-built
It's
deck.
Just a pre-built deck. You can't change it. And that's understandable because it's Spider-Man.
Sure.
It's
he has the Spider-Man
Gambit
moves.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not, with Flesh and Blood you can do anything. You can be whoever you want to be. So
I wonder if that's what they're
like
running into as like the development, not issue, but just like the thing that's making it take so long.
I don't think so. I think
figuring
they're
out how
just
to balance
trying
it
to
and
get
stuff.
it right, because it's such a big deal. It's gonna, I think you're right, is that it's gonna be such a big deal, because if they do it right, Flesh and Blood could become, I know that people are always like, it's not gonna become the new Magic, or will become the new Magic, or whatever. Like, I think it could become the new D&D.
Sure.
Like it could be,
or like the new Commander, kind of like, because Commander functions in that way where it's like,
no, but Commander is still about fighting each other.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
new D&D.
I'm saying like you could have a group of people who are just want to explore a world. You could do homebrews. I mean, I was just reading a tweet. People were annoyed that people say homebrew because it's like that's the point. But like this is not the point usually. Like you could make your own stories. You can make your own worlds and have your own situations and scenarios with this stuff. And I think that like it could be a better system because D&D is a little bit difficult. It takes a lot of time. You have to roll characters. It's very it can be very crunchy. This you can just bring a deck. You have your character, and then you can all just go. whether it be a homebrew or they release books or whatever.
Yeah, it also like I don't know if it's gonna function off of like you're all fighting against a common enemy that is a deck, but like if that's how it works, then that seems so much easier, like building a boss deck or like a DM deck, rather than like, because being a DM is like you have to like write a show almost. Like you write a plan, you like draw out the internals, environments, you maybe make little models or something, versus just like building, I don't know how it would work, maybe like 100 card deck with like special hero cards or something. That's so much easier. Like it could be just like a challenge, like build a deck.
Well,
for us to
I'm
fight
imagining
against.
like, okay, here's how I imagine it.
Yeah.
And people have had lots of different ideas,
Mhm.
and we don't really have. I mean, I'm sorry if this is boring to hear us theorize of what this could be, but it's gonna be a big deal. So it's hard. I'm just trying to say, like, I imagine a box with a couple of decks, and there are within those decks there are like a map, like map decks.
Okay.
So as they explore, you like off the top be like, okay, you run into this room.
Sure.
And then the deck has a room. And then there's bosses and then NPCs and enemies. Yeah. And those are the 4 types of decks.
So you can like run into like a beneficial encounter with an NPC who might like sell you something, maybe like a shop, maybe a random fight.
Yeah. And you just do it all with cards.
Yeah.
You can build out the map with cards. You could like tell people where to place it. They decide if they're going right or left in a dungeon. And then when expansions come out, it'll just be like dungeons or lands or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems. I don't know. It feels like
that's what I'm imagining they're doing.
It feels like something that there's a
they
lot
love
of
cards. I don't think they want anything else. Like if they like whenever they release any sort of like like the classic battles, the thing they skimp on is the book, the map, the mats, they're like, we got to get the cards right. So I think my sense is like PvE is going to be all cards.
I think it would make a lot of sense. And it's like when you're describing it, it's making me think, I feel like in the 2010s and the early 2020s, one of the hottest types of video game has been roguelikes. It's just like roguelike or roguelite. People really like the chance to, and like Slay the Spire, a deck building roguelike specifically, it's a pretty huge game, I think. It basically, like, in terms of indie games, it like spawned a whole genre.
Yeah, people. Every time I talk about Flesh and Blood, people are like, "Do you play Slay the Spire?"
Oh yeah, because I feel like there's an interest in sort of like having a game system and then a way to sort of like keep exploring and improving at the system and like digging into it in a map that's like always a little different, and that sort of gives you the vibe of like going on a new adventure or a new campaign. And cards are sort of the perfect way of implementing that kind of thing in a board game setting, because I think that's one of the that's like what people like so much about deck building games, is that like your deck is always shuffled differently. So it's like even if it's a matchup that you've played 100 times, it's never going to be quite the same, and so it gives you this experience of like improvising and figuring out how to pilot through these situations. And Flesh and Blood just feels like the situations that arise are so often interesting and like difficult to solve, especially if the deck is more complicated. So being able to like take 4 friends and then shuffle all your decks and the encounter deck together and then be like, oh man, we really low rolled and like got killed by this dungeon.
Right.
But then like hitting another low roll and being like, well, now we got better and we can beat it. Or just like maybe high rolling and getting lucky at the right time. It lends itself so much to narrative and to like feeling like you've experienced a story and a battle and overcome something.
Absolutely. Which is why I think they're taking their dear sweet fucking time. Wasn't the fucking Professor product supposed to come out early this year?
I don't remember.
I thought when they announced that at Worlds, like, we're doing a thing, and Professor was like, it'll be out this year, like early this year. I thought that's what happened. But
we should find out.
Still no fucking clue what that is.
Yeah, we don't know. We know it's not like a deck box. It's not like a product.
Here's my thing. They can't release something. They can't release PvE, whatever the product is. They can't release it if it's going to have the reception that Classic Battles did.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It has to be an A. Like, it has to be something that you can buy for somebody for Christmas and they can play it. It has to be something that everyone's going to want, but...
And also that they'll want a lot more, because nobody was like, can we have another Classic Battles right after this? Like,
yeah.
And Classic Battles, I will say, is okay. It's just a little too expensive, and the stuff that they included...
Honestly, it's like... it's been a while, and Professor gave it a C, and I was like, that's a little harsh. But you know what? I've now tried to teach 2 people with it, and my feeling was like, I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Like, it made me want to make a different product.
Yeah.
Just because I was like,
I can see the vision. There's stuff in it that it does well.
Like, I don't want people's first experience to be playing Rhinar.
It's a weird. I don't get why it's those. Like, it feels like Ira decks.
I get flavor wise why
they're both kind of complicated. Intimidate and then like the whole weapon thing is like, I don't know. I feel like there should be an in between the Ira decks, which I always feel like this is going to be too simple.
It's too boring.
It's just like you're doing the same thing, but yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to start them off with Rhinar. It's a weird, like the deck has no blocks. It has a weird setup. I don't know. There's definitely things it does where I'm like watching people play it for the first time and I'm like, oh, this is teaching you stuff. You're learning a little something as you do this.
Literally Literally this week I've taught 2 people on the Classic Battles decks. Our friend Zach and our friend Michaela. And Zach said he had a great time. He's like, I've been thinking about it all week. Like, he's like, I was really surprised because I don't like hero-based card games.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like... He's like, when they introduced Planeswalkers, I quit Magic.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what? I don't know anything about why that... If that makes sense to you, write a comment down below.
I think Planeswalkers are what your commander is.
No. I get...
Sure.
I know what they are.
You just don't know what it
I
means.
don't know why he would be mad.
I don't know.
But he was just like, I don't really like that, but he's like, it was so flavorful, and like he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Michaela also enjoyed it. She's like, oh, I've been thinking about it too. Like, it gets in your head. It's a wormy thing. We all know why Flesh and Blood is great.
For sure. Yeah. But it gives you a hint of it, but
it's so, it seems successful. But while I was doing it, you suggested like, what about the history pack decks?
Oh yeah.
And the Outsiders decks, and it made me want to go buy all those because I was like, I'd much rather be like, which guy do you want to be?
I think I would suggest, because we have a copy of the Phi deck and the Dromai deck around, and people say those are good for playing against each other.
Right.
And yeah, it's weird when it's like you would have an almost equal good time with like 2 $10 decks as you would a $50 deck box. Especially that it does not come with a here's how you play the game instruction booklet, which is like, that feels unforgivable for a beginner product. Like, we could do it because we could show them as like a mentor. Yeah. But if 2 people who don't know Flesh and Blood buy that product, like, I don't know how much they get out of it. They might not really learn it because no one's showing them what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, C feels generous.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's average. Like, the game is great, obviously, so that's up there. But as an onboarding product, it felt like a pretty big whiff, honestly.
It's not the best.
They cannot release PvE anywhere near that level. They have to. They have a team, and a lot of people are working on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this card that we talked about is the first PvE card.
It's true. Yeah. It just 100% is like, this is for playing with a party, and it only has a good function in that setting.
It's
Otherwise,
a dog
it's not
shit
good.
rate. But I'm assuming it's really just to block.
Yeah.
It's a 2 block.
Just toss it on the block.
And then everybody gets a good token that they want.
Yeah.
Bravo gets a Surge. Briar gets a Earth.
It's funny that they're giving...
Dory gets a Courage.
Yeah.
Bolton gets a Courage.
Yeah.
That means your weapon costs 1 less, right?
That's a possibility. We don't know that, though.
I know we don't know it.
Okay.
I'm saying it's got to be that,
Courage
right?
of Bladehold. Probably, yeah. Especially because that's one of the like big issues with Warrior. Not big issues, but it's like the cost curve of Warrior is very tight. And so being able to activate something for 1 less would be really good.
Right. Lexi gets a Lightning. Oldham gets a Spellbane Aegis.
Oldham is so funny. Why is that what he gets?
Why are they trying to make Spellbane Aegis happen?
Yeah, they did Jubiel, and now they're giving it to Oldham.
I don't know what Aegis does.
Maybe.
It's...
Oh, I actually never thought of that. What if it's Spell Void 1?
Yeah.
What if the Jubiel is going to be really good in PvE, and that's why they were putting out a cold foil of it? Like, maybe the bosses will do split damage, or there's like environmental arcane damage, and just like making that is useful. Could be. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like they're telling us you're gonna need Spellbane Aegis. Like, you're gonna need tokens that are Spell Void 1. Don't know why.
I guess.
We don't know why.
Rune Chance, maybe? Maybe the other side is going to make a lot of Rune Chance, because
people
are sort of theorizing it's like everyone is facing one way, and united we stand.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to get the other side,
dark
for
card.
sure. It's us.
Britain. What if we got that card? What if we got the other?
It's not going to be us.
I doubt it's us. My guess is we get some kind of common, like
I think
a staple
best
kind
case
of card.
scenario, we get a rare.
Yeah. Honestly, getting a common or rare is kind of awesome because sometimes like Majestics or like more edge case cards, like the common or rare is just like the card that will go in the deck.
Although
you know what I mean?
I do think that there is like 80 Majestics or some shit in this.
There are a lot.
It's so much. So we probably will actually now that I think we'll probably get a Majestic. We can't know. But anyway, we also haven't talked about your Lexi got a dang old specialization, which people are arguing about whether it's good. It's not good in her current form, is that right?
It just doesn't do that much because being able to make your attacks deal damage is good for all the Ice Fuse arrows, like Chilling Ice Vein and Blizzard,
right?
And also some of the Lightning Fuse arrows, where they like.
I feel like she just needs a lot more lightning
that's
arrows
the thing.
or whatever.
There were really not that many lightning elemental cards, and then they had to ban the best one for being too good.
Ball
lightning. If Lexi had ball lightning, there could be like a build of lightning Lexi that was like really fast and aggressive and use some of the current like fuseless arrows.
Right.
So yeah, it just in a fuseless deck this doesn't do that much. In a fuse deck, in a deck that's trying to get the on damage effects, and this like adds more.
I think that embodiment of Lightning Maker though is pretty. That's pretty big, and I feel like people are.
But it only blocks 2, so it's like having to block with this and another card to make an embodiment of lightning is awkward. But you're right, embodiment of lightning is a cool thing, just to have it there.
Right. All right. We also got Flicker Trick, another card that people are confused about. Now, this is defending. They released a back alley break line.
Oh yeah.
About defending and just clarified mostly a little bit changed.
They changed a couple of interactions. Yeah.
Right.
But when they changed
how defending works.
Yeah.
Or what defending is.
Yeah. I guess what they unified it because before there were cards like Pulse Wave Harpoon, and there's maybe a couple other cards that basically like force a card from your opponent's hand to block. Maybe just Pulse Wave is the one that can do it currently. And before that did not count as defending. It just was like it was placed there. The same way as like.
But what I always felt was stupid about that, I didn't like that, is that it still blocks.
Right.
Like
it's the same.
It calculates the damage the same, but for some reason it isn't defending, and they're saying no, it is.
It's the same as like, I guess it's different now, but like if you swap in something with Uzuri, you didn't attack with it, so you don't get the attack triggers. Like for Ravenous Rabble and E-Strike and stuff. And now they're just, for defending, it's like, if it is on the combat chain as a blocking card, that counts as defending.
Right.
So I guess it changes stuff like, if they give Pulse Wave Harpoon Dominate, they can force you to block with one thing, and then you can't block with anything else from hand. And so that's something that changed. And then also now, I think Route has changed how it works with like...
Oh, really?
Defending. Yeah, that was the other thing that's actually different. I think what it means is like I think before, if you played Route and bounced a card back to their hand, like say you were routing something that had you had Dominate on your weapon and they blocked it, and then you routed a card back to their hand. I think before, if there was nothing blocking it, you could be like, well, now I'll play a defense reaction. But I think now you can't because you've already defended from hand once, even though it went back to hand. Something like
I hate that.
That is
I
stuff.
do not like that.
It's not great.
So Flicker Trick is interesting because I feel like just by the stats, if it didn't say, if it didn't say what it says, it would be a great card.
Yeah, it'd be
everyone would run this card.
It's in the same way as if they made a wounding blow that dealt 5 damage.
Exactly.
It'd be broken, because a card never deals 5 damage for free, unless it's really situational. Like Lava Burst, which is a great card.
It's a crazy card. However, what it does say is backwards Phantasm.
Yeah.
Meaning that if it's defending a 6 card, it gets popped. So
yeah, which is really tough, going from to just a card isn't blocking at all anymore. Like that sucks.
Right.
You lose all the block value.
That's crazy. So that means to get the value out of this card, you have to be blocking exactly 5, and you have to know you're not going to get... So that's good for Lexi.
Yeah.
Lots of arrows. And Azalea, lots of arrows are 5.
That's true.
However, and that's a good break point. However, it's also really easy for people like Lexi to like rain razors.
Totally.
That's like a thing that happens a lot. So
or lightning press if you run that. I was just thinking it's like this cleanly blocks a surging strike, but then they also could play an ancestral empowerment, and then that makes it 6.
Oh, hang on a second.
Draw.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If Azalea dominates an arrow 10, or whatever, you can't use this. Like no matter how much, like you can't reduce.
That's true. Yeah.
Like it's not like if you blocked. It's not like you can go, okay, I block 1 for 3, and then you like, if say it's a dominated 8, you can't like block with 1 card and then use this.
Actually, even a non-dominated 8.
Or any 8.
Any 8. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, this is pretty bad against Azalea, because if she goes tall in any way, then this is just a non-blocking card in your hand.
Right. For some reason, I was doing the math in my head as though the first blocking card takes away
you
that
can, like,
number.
Add it up. But no, it's just
it's
defending a non-illusionist attack with 6 or more power, it gets destroyed. So it is. I think this will be a good sideboard card and is good against certain decks. Like any deck that I'm trying to think what the deck like that could be threatening to pump a 4 into a 5. Like maybe a deck that runs Snatch and Art of War. That was like a thing you could do with Fi, is like attack with a Snatch to start the turn. Maybe Briar, yeah. Like, because Fi, you could like attack with a Snatch, and if they block it out exactly, you could Art of War and snaps it, and then it hits, and you draw a card, and then your turn gets going. So like, you could block that. I mean, using it to block something that hits for 4.
So all of this is a bit of speculation, because my feeling is, what if Amira is a hero? And if Amira is a hero, what if you want to have things popped?
Maybe you can interact with Mirage. I actually didn't think about that. That makes a lot of sense. That if having Mirage is something that you can like interact with or gain a benefit from, then suddenly it's not as punishing. And very good point.
Maybe it's cool. You know, you don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah.
It's a confusing card. Mirage is new. That's cool. Amira will make me want to play Illusionist.
She's
cool. So cool. I don't give a shit. She's got the blue Illusionist lady. She's got the weird creepy cards. She's got all the weird shadow monsters. I hope it's a shadow Illusionist.
Maybe we could work with Frightmare somehow. Like maybe Frightmare will
That's
become
what
good.
I'm talking about. Speaking of creepy Illusionists, we got Lost in Thought, a card that is fucked up.
A little fucked up at times, yeah.
People were saying, like, why does Illusionist get Intimidate?
Yeah.
So this is a 1 cost action that says, look at target hero's hand and choose an attack action card. If you do, they put that card on the bottom of their deck and they create a ponder token, which is worse than Intimidate because you don't even get it back at the. I mean, it's like, I guess it's kind of better than Intimidate, or it's better for the player. They're the person being attacked.
Being intimidated.
Because they get to cycle their hand.
Yeah.
And they get a ponder.
They lose something,
but they can't block with it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting card where it like Illusionist like plays on this axis of like whole game advantage, not just like turn advantage, where assuming that a ponder can end up being like equal value to a card from hand, which is like definitely not always the case. Like if you're playing a ninja deck or like some other aggro deck, like maybe. But if you're playing Guardian, where most of your deck is blue, like if you're Oldham, sure, but he's gone. If you're Bravo, you don't actually want to arsenal any of your blues. So your arsenal, a ponder sucks ass in Bravo. Like that's a terrible thing.
Ponder can be bad.
It can be pretty bad unless you high roll and hit a red. Like if you just lose a red attack and then draw a blue with the ponder, and you were planning to play it, like if it's your crippling crush, your whole turn is ruined. And this also can just take away poppers from decks that don't run that many. If you like see a popper and bottom it and then swing with something.
Right. I think we also haven't talked about Angelic Wrath.
No, that's pretty new.
Is, it's a fucking lightning press for 4 for only Heralds.
For Heralds,
which just seems fucking awful.
It seems pretty good.
I'm hoping everybody has poppers. We got Bannerets.
Oh yeah.
Protection,
a new,
courage,
light warrior ability where
create a courage token.
Yeah, if you use it to charge to your soul, you gain some effect, which is like, I don't know if it fixed charge, but it helps charge, because before you were just purely like going card negative when you charged something, like, and then now you're like, okay, you're losing a card, but you're getting something out of it. Maybe a courage token is nice. So I think it's good, because I remember Josh Lau talking about, Bolden has talked about how like he feels like there's elements of design in Flesh and Blood where if they could, they would give something like a decimal point value where it's like maybe Bolton should be able to be charging.
Dude, I think that totally should happen.
Yeah.
Like, I think it should be like you get like
every 3 times you charge, you draw a card or something.
yes. And
Or-
you get like a little counter.
Mhm.
Like you have the token that like enters with a counter, and then you take the counter off.
That
and
actually
then
is a
you
good
have
way to
it.
implement that. Yeah, people have said that about frostbites, that it's like
You can do it.
frostbites would be better balanced if they reduced everything by 0.75 instead of by 1 or whatever increased. I mean, like there's definitely elements where it's like
Well, that does seem that one seems hard.
it's tough, and it's like I think Bolton was just like
Well, what would that even mean?
yeah, that doesn't. There's no way to do it. It's just like it would have. It just is really powerful to increase cost by 1. But yeah, the dial is turned a little towards like the weak side, and as we can tell from like how Flesh and Blood works, it's like you turned it to the strong side just a little bit, and you end up with a really really powerful hero.
Yeah.
So they're dialing very slightly, maybe giving some kind of advantage back to Bolton for charging stuff.
I think they're gonna. I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of. They're trying to make Bolton and Levia good.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any evidence of that for Levia. Reminder: I don't know what my spoiler card is.
Yeah.
Saying this completely in the dark. I think they will.
I'm sure they will.
I think they're gonna try.
We saw what they did to Azalea. Like Azalea was the laughing stock of this game.
Yeah, of course.
She never got a single living legend point, and she became a good hero. She's
very playable.
She's not busted, but she is quite good and has some bad matchups. She has some great matchups.
And then they fucking broke Lexi.
Just a little bit.
That deck sucks to play against now.
I mean,
it sucked before when you were being ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hated playing ice Lexi.
Ice Lexi is pretty annoying. Yeah.
I hate this more now.
Because it's just
so fucking annoying.
It's like Lexi that's also Phi. It's like
yes.
Take a bunch of damage. If you block too much, I'll just do the same thing every turn until you're dead.
Yeah.
Because my deck is all attacks. Also, whoops, I gave you 3 frostbites.
Fuck you.
It's a good deck.
Yeah, so we got all these bannerets. They're cool. Banneret according to Google means a person.
Yeah,
But
or
it
like a
appears that
knighthood.
we're talking about this. It's like a type of knighthood that happens on the field.
I think it also can mean a knight that is like fighting on the field under their own banner.
Yeah.
So it's like the person who's waving the flag of Solana.
They're
or something.
the banneret.
They're a banneret, like knight or something. Yeah.
Don't know what that means.
Who
but
knows? Oh yeah, are these the buy box promos?
yes.
Very cool.
So I think that's cool. You get different ones. That means if you buy a case, you get 4. There's 6. So it's kind of people are like, well, I want 2 cases.
Yeah. I want to get a lot of them.
And they're, extendo art, and that's really cool.
Yeah, people will want a play set of them for their Bolton decks to like pimp them out, and that'll be cool. Yeah, I don't know, Bolton.
You need whatever 6 times 3 is.
Assuming they come in rainbow. We actually
33?
don't know if they come in rainbow because they're all yellow.
Oh shit! No. I mean, but if you want 3 of them,
Just 3 of the colors we've seen. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm not talking about rainbow.
Sure.
I don't think they will. I think they'll all be yellow.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah.
I think he'll have like more yellow interaction, like Prism did.
Yeah, he just needs some more. Like one of the big things about Bolton too is that it's like in the set that he came out in, none of the equipment is really that relevant to his playstyle because he got Valiant Dynamo, which is like I guess works if you're doing Axe Bolton, but it's not the best. And you have Vestige of Soul, the one that like I forget what it does. Your stuff is 1 cheaper if you've charged your soul or something. Like
I forget what the legendary does.
a little bit. I think that's what it does. It's like if a card has been put into your soul this turn, your light cards cost 1 less or something.
Every turn.
Yeah, I think that's the text. I'm not looking. I'm trying to.
All right, don't look.
Okay. If a card has been put into your hero's soul this turn,
Go ahead.
oh no, I think it's like if you pitch a light card, you gain an additional pitch.
That's exactly correct.
Okay, there you go. Because at first I was like, it makes things cheaper, but then I was like, wait. I remember Eric describing it as like making your yellows into blues for the turn. And then also, I didn't mention, but it has Blade Break 1. That I knew.
Yeah.
It's like tuning. Yeah, it's
that
like
seems like it could be good.
I think people played in Prism sometimes. I don't know. I think Bolton just needs something that's like more specific.
Wow, it turns every yellow into blue. That's pretty good.
Every light card, every light yellow.
Well, sure, but if you're Bolton and you run all these banners,
you have
they're
to
all
run
blues.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah, but so maybe he needs some like arms or feet or head or something that are like more focused around his playstyle because that's really like whenever you look at a deck that like becomes really strong, it's one of the main things it has going for it is like equipment that is like feeds into its playstyle and like makes its playstyle better. Like Spellbound Creepers, Grasp of the Arknight, Crown of Seeds. Lexi is like kind of the exception, but like New Horizon is insanely powerful, and then also Bullseye Bracers is quite powerful. But yeah, Lexi is sort of interesting because people have described it as like a deck that's good mainly because of its card pool and not just its armor, like, or not like a combo of armor and card pool, which I think a lot of the other best decks are like.
Right. Okay. So before we go,
yeah,
Dusk Till Dawn is shaping up to be really cool. Everyone's very excited. I mean, I have never been a huge fan of the light side, especially in Monarch. Honestly, Monarch being out was one of the first. It's a good thing that Tails was out because I think I would have been so turned off by the sort of what to me at the time looked like biblical like fighting.
Yeah.
But it's grown on me a lot. I like the Lovecraftian,
the Shadow's awesome.
Stuart Gordon style horror shit in the Shadow. So it's definitely grown on me. But the light has always been a little bit like, I don't love this because it reminds me of like the Bible trading card game.
Oh yeah,
Redemption.
I forgot they made
that. That
Jesus' answer to magic.
I was aware of when I was a kid. It's like a Jesus magic, and I didn't love that style. Lots of angels and stuff. But Dusk Till Dawn is looking sick. There's lots of really cool cards for everybody. But before we go, I wanted to compare it to Dynasty.
Okay. This is one of the supplemental sets from last year. Dynasty?
Dynasty.
Yeah.
I wanted to compare it to Dynasty.
I'm saying this is Dusk Till Dawn as a supplemental set this year.
That's right. Dynasty came out last year, and we'll get
a new draftable set.
A new draftable set,
it's
buddy.
Great. I've been really enjoying that Monarch is like the new hotness on the draft scene. Like I think
I still haven't played it.
Oh, you haven't even played it. It's fun.
I really want to.
It would be. I do love Outsiders, but I can see that by the time Nationals rolled around, if it was just like RTN straight through till Nationals was all, and the Pro Tour was all Outsiders draft, people would start getting tired of it and start feeling like they'd figured it out. And
I still like it.
I like it a lot, and I don't
even playing all the Road to Nationals and even losing.
I'm still happy to do it.
I did well.
But I think I don't think it would have quite the burnout that Uprising did because it's a lot more dynamic. But I think even still, it is good to have like a bit of a fresh puzzle to solve rather than like just continuing to roll the train of Outsiders. And hopefully next year they can figure out how to be releasing 3 draftable sets and a supplemental set every year, and then we can just have like this cycle of like every 4 months there's a new draftable set, which I think is a good cycle.
Right. So this year we're only getting this one supplementally or expansion set, I believe is what
the preferred nomenclature.
Yeah, it's the preferred nomenclature. So last expansion set, Dynasty, had 1 Fabled, 5 Legendaries, 51 Majestics, 81 Rares, 109 Commons, and 14 Marvels. This shit has 1 Fabled, 8 Legendaries.
A lot.
56 Majestics.
What did Dynasty have? 40?
Dynasty had 51.
Okay. It had a lot.
51 Majestics?
That's even more.
This is 56 Majestics. And only 77 Rares.
Oh, less Rares?
And 94 Commons.
How many Rares did Dynasty have?
81.
So a little less in Rares and Commons. So it's really loaded up with Majestics.
It's loaded up with Majestics.
Here's a question. Do you think
might get a Majestic.
Do you think they're reprinting any Legendaries?
No.
Not even anything?
Me?
Yeah.
Do I think that?
I've heard people theorize
Why would I think
they might reprint Footsteps.
Nope.
They could also reprint...
I don't think they're going to do that. There's so much fucking Monarch. They want people to buy Monarch.
And people are drafting Monarch, so that's going to be...
People are drafting Monarch. I don't
think... It's going to bring the price down.
That's ridiculous. I don't think anyone... Why would they think that?
I don't know. They could reprint Crown of Providence because that's a pricey card that people need.
No, wrong.
Dole of Providence.
That card is correctly priced, I think.
Sure. I mean, is it like $200 right now or something? And maybe it's gone down.
It just came out.
In Uprising, yeah.
But it's last year.
Uprising is being opened less now, so there's like less.
That's not their fault.
Yeah. True.
I mean, I don't.
I'm just saying they've done that the last couple supplemental sets.
It's $170. Come on, don't be a baby.
Or use a skull cap if you can't get this one.
Use a skull cap. I don't know. What did they reprint in Dynasty? Nothing.
Command and Conquer. Yeah, they didn't reprint anything
No,
else.
they didn't.
Yeah.
That
does not count.
A fabled
of it.
previous card doesn't really count as a reprint.
No,
to me.
it's totally true. No, I don't know. It's like the two things they've reprinted before are like staple legendaries, and Crown of Providence is the new one.
So the only thing that makes me feel like they could reprint something is that it is the 10th set.
Mm-hmm.
They're theming things around 10 Marvels, which we don't know what those are going to be.
What if there's like a Marvel tunic or something?
What if it's 10 legendary Marvels of like the best ones that like need to be reprinted or whatever?
Well, we know one is Bellana.
That's true.
So one assumes that there are more Marvel Angels the same way as we got Marvel Dragons before. Bellana.
People need to stop saying Bologna.
Bologna.
Why would it be Bologna?
Bologna.
It's Bellana or Bellana.
Bellana. What?
Like Solana.
Bellana.
No one says Salona.
Salona. I'm making a Saloni sandwich.
Come on, pass that gabagoo.
Pass a little Saloni for my sandwich.
Yeah, so there's going to be so many things. It's 8 legendaries, which I love. More chances to pull legendaries.
Mm-hmm. There's also the fucking serialized 1 of 1 unique hand-drawn cold foil cards.
I still don't really know what that means. Are
sure
they
exactly.
hand-drawn on the card?
I think maybe. Because aren't they like artist-proof style? Is that what people are calling them?
I do not understand. Also, are they legal?
Well, they're tokens, so I think so.
Oh, right.
Because they're just for heroes. Yeah, yeah.
That are legal.
Yeah. I'm picturing like one side is like a cold foil of... Because it's chain and prism, right? So like one side is a cold foil, chain or prism, and then it's artist-proof style where the back is white, and then they've done a sketch, and each one is a unique sketch that I assume they had to pay them pretty handsomely to do 10 sketches. I guess not that crazy.
It's not that bad.
You can buy them at an event. Maybe I'm imagining James White lining up at the event to get them. just like waiting. Can you draw these? Yeah.
No, but they're also cold foil.
Right, so one side's cold foil and then the back is white instead of having the
Are
LSS.
you sure?
No, that's what I'm theorizing.
No, I don't think so at all.
Haven't they been described as artist proof, or am I making that up?
What do you mean?
Like I thought people called them artist proofs.
I don't think they're called artist proofs.
Where do they write about them?
They wrote about them in... I thought they were Marvel.
I'm just saying, where else is the hand drawing other than like on the artist proof side? You could be right that
on
they
the
didn't
inside.
Actually, like they drew the card, like
yeah,
the art.
That's what
that'd
I
be
think.
cool. Like it's but then how is it cold foil if they drew it? Did they
that's
foil it afterwards?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. I'm just assuming it's a cold foil on the front and then they've drawn it on the back. Let's figure this out.
we got to figure this out right now.
At the end
of this, artist. Okay, cold foil, serialized, hand-drawn artist sketch cards by Livia Prima and Federico McTick. I don't know. Artist sketch is not a thing.
Yeah, is that artist proof? Yeah, you could be right that I'm way off base.
I think it'll have a regular back and it'll be cold foil, but then on the inside, here's a crazy idea. Oh, what if they gave them a blank card and then printed cold foil on it? So they're like
is that
specially
possible?
Yes.
Okay, I guess that'd be cool. Yeah, they had them draw it and then cold foiled that, and each one is like uniquely cold foiled over their pen lines or whatever.
No, not that. I mean like the border.
Oh, but then it won't look cool if the art isn't cold foil. I mean, it'll look cool. But I'm just saying,
probably gonna see them pretty soon, and no matter what, I think they're gonna be insanely expensive because there's only 20 of them.
10 of them.
No.
Yes.
They added. Oh.
They added another region, but they didn't add more cards.
Is that true?
Yes.
Fuck.
I think anyway.
That's crazy.
They didn't make more. They just made them because before they weren't going to come out in outside of like Europe and North America, and people in
everywhere
else were like, what the fuck? Especially people in New Zealand, where it's like the game is from New Zealand.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure they just are like, there's going to be 5 in each region.
They'll just put 1 in one pack in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good... Do you think they're just going to basically, like, hand randomize it? Otherwise, imagine getting a God box where you get 3 of them, and they're like, oh, take that back.
That's how it works. Okay. When they do those serialized
like
cards,
the serialized things,
they have one person just, like, put them every so often.
Sure, yeah.
I think so.
I wonder... That actually, it kind of raises an interesting question where it's like, did they have some way to, like, make it randomized and unknown? Because it feels like something where... Like, just hypothetically, if you worked in a factory and your job is, like, place this card in a box, then you know what, like, pallet that box is on or, like, whatever.
So what? You can't buy it?
You could tell the store that they might have one or something. Inside information of, like, say where you think it went or something. I'm just curious, like, what is the methodology for, like, keeping that secret?
I don't know.
Maybe they just shuffle.
I doubt it's that secret.
It's probably kind of hard to actually track a box like past like putting it on a pallet or something. Like you don't know where it ships.
Once it gets on a shipping container.
That's true.
It's not. You're not finding it again.
I guess, yeah. How would you know what, like, this one's going to this store or whatever?
I mean, if you're standing on the line and you're a worker and you're putting it in there, like pressing a button that shoots it out, and there's only 10 of them, like, you don't know what box that's going, like, what number are you going to have?
Yeah, no, you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's
if they had that guy sneaking around being like, okay, that's the pack, and you would need like what's the number of that crate or whatever? No. Yeah,
you would need like a wall-to-wall. That'd be, now I kind of want to watch a heist movie that's about that, like everyone in the factory, because you would need the whole factory line.
The Safdie brothers are making a
TCG game. What if it's about this somehow?
It could be about this.
I forgot they're making a movie about that.
All right, we're off the rails.
We've gone over time.
Thank you so much. We're over time. This has been the Banish Zone. We will have an episode before our spoiler, I think.
We can, if you want. I mean,
let's see.
We promised to make the show bi-weekly and then didn't exactly do that.
Shut up. Don't talk about our failures.
We did a great job being bi-weekly.
Yeah, no,
on
we
average.
won't. We won't actually.
Okay. Or we could if we want to.
Or we could. We'll see. If something crazy happens, we'll be back.
Yeah.
But
do you think
we're still shooting for bi-weekly?
Is our plan for the pre-release to record it and have a premiere?
Yes.
I think we should.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Cool.
As soon as we see the thing, we're recording the episode.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it will only be a short episode, and then we'll have an episode following up on it later. But it'll be a very quick spoiler video.
Yeah, we won't keep you waiting.
Don't worry about it.
A few seconds in, maybe we won't make you wait.
Okay. So thanks so much for being here with us. If you'd like to, no. I'm doing my other show. Thank you so much for being here with us. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell as well.
If you want,
hang out with us in the Discord. We have a Discord. The link is down there.
Discord's
I do box
spot.
Openings sometimes. I haven't in a little bit because I've been a little tight. But
no one's bought one.
And no one's bought one. So if you want to buy something from me, you can fill out the little form.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I have one shout out to give, which is thank you to the Tall Timmy for mailing me my Celestial Cataclysm mat.
Oh, yeah,
that I won.
Sea Strike mat.
Yeah, I won it in a YouTube giveaway, and then we DM'd, and we're like, we're both going to be in Baltimore. We'll get it there. And I got back home from Baltimore. It was like a day later. I was like, holy shit. Never once did it occur to me. I talked to Tall Timmy.
Yeah, we both did.
We talked to him. I totally
Multiple
forgot
times.
I was supposed to get a mat from him. And I DM'd him, and he was like, oh, yeah, I had it in my suitcase. I didn't remember who I was supposed to give it to. So he very kindly, after schlepping it to Baltimore, mailed it, fucking world post all the way from Australia, whatever you call it. It arrived safely. It's beautiful.
Absolute
Thank you for doing that.
That guy.
Legend.
Good guy. Enormous legend. Thanks, Tall Timmy. Thanks, Paul, for doing that. There's probably so many shout outs, but you're you know who you are. You're great and you're loved, and it's a beautiful time. Oh, you know what? Thanks, Flesh and Blood, for basically shouting me out every episode.
Oh yeah.
Every time I'm like, I'll listen to a little Flesh and Pod. They're hanging out with me. They're thinking about me. I live in their head rents free.
No thanks to Logan for putting the image of Guinness What You Need carrying around Data Doll as a sex toy and then selling it after he's done with it. That image is in my mind forever. And it made me go 1-2 at my armory. I'm blaming it on you. Because the week before, with the same deck, the same 80 cards, I won my armory. And then suddenly I'm eating shit in the mirror. It's because I'm thinking about that. Yeah. And it's Logan's fault.
I'm thinking about it and I'm enjoying it. So thank you so much. Everybody, thanks for being around. We'll be back sooner rather than later. Absolutely. You will be hearing from us on July 2nd.
Absolutely.
At the latest. So
yeah.
Thanks. See you in the Discord. And until next time,
you're banished.
You